Listen scares, Bumblebee, it's that season again. So today's video is gonna be all about the top 10 ancient tombs hiding real curses. We are gonna crack it off with cursed tomb number 10, Serbian Gold. Well, maybe that's not an accurate title, rather it's Roman gold in Roman tombs in Serbia. So, the Vinimaxium archaeological site found in the former Roman province of Moesia Superior is full of temples, streets, squares, palaces, baths, and apparently cursed tablets too. The tomb unearthed, however, wielded the first known golden cursed tablets of Serbia. Their inscriptions are long forgotten Greek and bear strange mystic symbology correlating with gods and demons to unleash death, punishment, and ill health on enemies. Now, Roman cursed tablets were usually thin hammered lead sheets, or sometimes even wood or stone. These silver and gold tablets are rarities, and Miomir Korak, the chief archaeologist at site, stated, "According to my knowledge, such tablets have never been found inscribed in gold anywhere. According to the Roman customs, gold was never put into graves." Written in, as mentioned, illegible ancient Greek, the most that's ever been decoded is "let all the forces and demons help that ... While the precious artifacts may not reveal anything else, their existence reveals the changing religious landscape of the civilization, in which Christianity was taking over the old pagan religion, but the pagan practices had not yet been abandoned. Opposing deities appear on these tablets, as if invoking both Christ and Antichrist today, or Christ and pagan gods, and that is weird. This shows us that the process of converting to Christianity was slow, said Korak. Archaeologists have also found Christians and pagans buried together, and this suggests for at least a time they were living in harmony and tolerance here. For now, the tablets in their tomb's true curse, however, will remain a mystery. Cursed tomb number 9 is the Blue Maiden, which is an entire cursed island, let alone just their tombs that are rumored to be on it. Now, this actually isn't the island's true name, just a dub given to it because the Swedes believe by calling it by its real name, you bring death and destruction. Those who sail nearby are especially superstitious, as they believe it'll brew a storm that drowns the ship should the name of the island be uttered. So, according to folklore going back to the 16th century, witches would gather on this island on Maundy Thursdays, the day before Good Friday, to worship the devil, sacrifice animals and humans, and engage in group romps, which cursed the island to be haunted by demons. This part also comes from the belief that the island is home to certain, best not to say their name aloud, female supernatural beings, and folks of the olden days used to sail over to their shore and leave votive offerings such as clothes to appease and gain favor of said beings. Archaeological studies in recent years have demonstrated that ritual activities were likely to have been carried out on the island in prehistoric times. 2 caves in which rituals were performed in were identified in 2014, while archaeologists were searching for the tombs that are said to be on the island. So far, despite the adamantcy of the locals that they exist, no tomb has been found, but curses upon curses have. One cave contained an altar featuring human bones, and the other was converted into a theater. And of course, I can't go without mentioning the labyrinth, because according to locals, anyone who removed stones from it would be cursed with a lifetime of ill fortune. Cursed tomb number 8 is Nostradamus. If you knew what was to come, you'd probably curse your own corpse too. In the most quintessential Nostradamus quatrain, his tomb's curse calls out whoever would dare to disturb it, stating, "He who will open the tomb found and will come close to it promptly, evil will come to him, and one will be unable to prove if it would be better to be a Breton or a Norman king." Love that little savage history burn at the end there, bud. Well, why heed a dead man's warning when you can crack open the tomb and disturb the dude? Nostradamus' tomb was tampered with in 1793. It happened in the heat of the French Revolution, when French soldiers went after the fabled tomb, ignoring the supposed rumor that whoever would open it would die. This is where the story gets a little fantastical. There's 3 or 4 variations of the same tale, and the location of the tomb is already groggy, so this could just be malarkey. It's said that the soldier who opened the tomb and looked down at the corpse for the first time since it was interred found a sign around Nostradamus' neck that predicted the exact date. Somehow, the story jumps to the soldier drinking wine from Nostra's skull, because why, and in some version picking it up and looking eye to eye. And then the soldier was immediately killed by a stray munition when that happens. While this is all unlikely, there's a lot of confusion with this tomb, and the guy was a known prankster, so who really knows what story is true? Cursed tomb number 7 is the Medusa Sarcophagus. May those who approach this sacred place of final rest with malicious intent, try to take over this grave, or commit other evils, walk on this earth as accursed beings, unable to traverse the lands or penetrate the seas. Let them not see any benefit benefit from their children, and especially not from their spouses, let their livelihoods reduced to dust and splinters. This is an ancient curse written on a 1700-year-old sarcophagus, which is on display at Turkey's Amasya Museum and was found in 1994. To make things even more interesting and up the accursed factor, as mentioned in the title, the grave also features an embossment in the shape of Medusa's head. Maybe a little odd for a Greek sarcophagus with Greek gorgon and Greek text to crop up in Turkey, but folks back there were far spread and kingdoms shifted hands a lot. The director of the museum, Selal, said all the warnings were to prevent the grave from being robbed, stealing the gifts of the dead, and from damaging the grave, adding that despite the curses and the warnings, all the jewelry and valuable items that were buried with the family has been stolen. Dead dude should have had it written in a few translations, because maybe that would have worked a little bit better for him. Cursed tomb number 6 is Amenhotep. Another classic. So, for those who are unaware, Amenhotep's tomb is found in the Valley of Kings, and there a rather terrifying inscription warns that trespassers should not disturb the sleeping king, and that anyone who attempts to steal from the tomb will lose their earthly wealth, drown at sea, be burned to death in a fiery furnace, have no successors, no tomb, no funeral, starve to death. Oh, if that wasn't enough, they're also warned that their bones will perish. So not only is he cursing your living life, Amenhotep said F your afterlife as well, and deems that the curse will follow you into it. This isn't even the entire inscription either. There are more punishments that are hurled at any trespassers who dare to disturb the king. Luckily, at least in modern times, that curse doesn't seem to have done much harm. Cursed tomb number 5 is Don't Open, Dead Inside. This discovery hit the headlines in June of 2022, and justifiably so. This was the first tomb found at the Beit Sherim Cemetery, a UNESCO heritage site, in 65 years. The tomb belongs to an ancient Jewish convert named Jacob the Convert, who wrote on his tombstone in blood red that Yaakov Hegra vows to curse anybody who will open his grave, so nobody will open it. While these warnings were mainly meant to keep grave robbers or people who try to disturb these places away, as made obvious by every tomb in this countdown, the researchers in this case said that it was most likely to actually stop other people from reusing his tomb, which was more of an issue in that area back then. Somewhat reassuringly, despite its appearances, the message is not written in blood but paint, but it's sure as hell creepy though. I could see Party City mass producing these bad boys to stick in your front lawn during Halloween. Amazingly, this is the first tomb marker found at the site to explicitly confirm that the burial was a convert to Judaism, the only grave marker out of more than 300 found. The inscription is from late Roman or early Byzantine period in which Christianity was strengthened, and here we find evidence that there were still people who chose to join the Jewish people. But perhaps strangest of all is we don't even know where Jacob is now. The grave marker wasn't found at an obvious tomb, but propped up against a wall in a previous undiscovered cave. Archaeologists believe its placement was the result of grave looting. Damn, you ancient folks gotta get better at your curses. For now, the cave is resealed just in case, and excavations are delayed. Cursed tomb number 4 is coughed up. As the host of Discovery Channel's Mummies Unwrapped, Egyptologist and director Rami Romani wanted to try and identify a mummy he believed could be Akhenaten. However, that required cracking into a tomb that's been untouched for about 600 years, and the journey into it turned out to be a harrowing experience. No one really knows how Akhenaten died or where his body is, but according to legend, the hated pharaoh who tried to enforce monotheism angered the priests enough that they cursed him after his demise, both his physical body in its crypt and his soul, which is said to wander the great expanse of the White Desert of Farafra for all of eternity. Those who enter the White Desert are warned not to approach or talk to that ghostly pharaoh, otherwise you're gonna join him in limbo. So, what happened to Romani when he was trying to investigate the potential tomb of Akhenaten? He got the mummy's curse, King Tut style. When they first arrived to the tomb, Rami states that the guard had lost the key and they had to break the lock to gain entry. Strong start. Once the snake coast was clear, they start filming, and Rami stated he immediately struggled to breathe, and that the tomb was filled with bats and the smell was unbearable. He described the situation as strange. Your body is telling you stop breathing, this is not good. I'm yelling at the camera, I'm being very excited, and I'm breathing all this crap in. Snake and bat crap, but maybe the curse of the mummy mixed in, the Egyptologist had added. Literally a day later, I was in horrible shape in bed. I had fevers that went up to 107, we had doctors coming in, I was coughing blood, I was hallucinating, and my wife was scared, and I don't know how I survived. Rami Romani's symptoms stumped the doctors, who told him, and I quote, "We have not seen this combination before." He was put on several antibiotics which thankfully helped him recover from the mysterious illness. So what do you think? Mummy's curse, toxic animal poo, or both? Cursed tomb number 3 is Chamber of Secrets. Welcome to Romania, one of the world's top hotspots for paranormal tomfoolery. Don't believe me? Google haunted places Romania and your computer will overheat and crash. And that's not even from a curse. There are genuinely so many strange and unexpected phenomena here, and the Temple of Cinque Vecchie is one of them. However, locals call it the Temple of Wishes, Temple of Fate, the Rock Monastery, and the Aliens Temple. Found in the woods above its namesake village in southern Transylvania, this temple is hidden deep below the earth and made up of 5 cavernous rooms. Romanian archaeologists are still struggling to date the damn thing. Some say it's from the Dacian Roman period, while others believe it's around 7,000 years old. Illuminated by narrow skylights, one can see the esoteric symbols carved around the room. A 6-point Star of David, a yin-yang, spells, and incantation from grimoires. You can see how it's a bit of a strange space. Locals also believe that the hills hide a lost tomb and treasures of a Roman general, cursing death on those who seek it. This belief is upheld by hundreds of years worth of creepy occurrences, crying voices, orbs, thrown items, ghostly touches. The strangest thing of all with the site is that it makes dreams come true, a modern twist on the historical record describing it as helpful in the fulfillment of good desires. When searching Cinque Vecchie Temple Cave, you will see hundreds of pages online of tourists talking about special and positive energies, and thousands of written wishes are left at the site every year. So, which is it? Cursed Roman tomb or lucky dirt dungeon? Who can say? Cursed tomb number 2 is Hegra. Well, it used to be called Hegra, now it's Maiden Saleh, the most famous ancient site in Saudi Arabia and the first to be included in the World Heritage List. You may be thinking, this is kinda giving a Petra vibe from the visual, and you're absolutely right to believe so. Hegra was built by the Nabatean people who built Petra, and 131 tombs are carved out of solid rock the same way that society was, complete with decorations, inscriptions, and water wells. Sadly, there's not much information about the site, and what we do know comes from about 50 inscriptions found inside the tomb, one of which dictates the site was inhabited for at least a century longer than that was previously thought. But it's curse time, baby! So where does one factor in? Well, in the name Maiden Saleh, it means the city of Salih, which in turn is associated with pre-Islamic prophet Salih and the tribe of Thamud, as mentioned in the Quran. So the tribe of Thamud is said to be descendants of the great-grandson of the biblical Noah, and they were said to have become very corrupt, materialistic, and quote, wicked. They stopped believing in God. According to one account, this is when God sent the prophet Salih to warn them that if they continue in that way, they're going to be destroyed, which they disregard, so the Lord wiped all of them out. Consequently, in modern times, the site and all of its tombs are considered by Muslim people to be cursed and should be avoided. Curse number 1 is the Dancing Maidens, or Cursed Brothers. This strange and highly debated site is outside the village of Belstone, England. The Ring of Stones is called the 9 Dancing Maidens predominantly, but there are actually 17 stones, thus its second name, the 17 Brothers. This number is provided in a description of the Stone Circle by Samuel Rowe in 1848, a perambulation of ancient and royal forest of Dartmouth and the Venville precincts. Whew, that was long. To quote, "We shall observe the circle called in the neighborhood 9 stones, but in reality consists of 17 stones." But now I think we need another gender in here, because nowadays only 16 stones can be seen. Likely one of the stones had probably toppled over since Rowe's time, but how about we call them the 16 they thems? All in favor? I don't know. But this wasn't the first time that the stone circle lost one of its standing stones. However, the 9 Maiden stone circle may have in fact originally included up to 20 stones, if the smaller stones and toppled ones around are all actually counted. In the past, however, before the function of the monument was understood, it's a Bronze Age burial site, folk tales were attached to explain its origin. Legend says that the stones, once dancers, would not stand still long enough for you to count and always reach the same total, and that's why it's impossible to determine how many there truly are. Now, whether it was 9 maidens or 17 brothers who were the dancers cursed to turn into stone for dancing on the Sabbath day, which is a big no-no, it's hard to say. One version of the story states that the brothers are forced to dance at noon each day until the end of time. Another asserts that the stones would come alive and dance every full moon in October. Yet another claims that the stones would come to life when the bells of Belstone Church are rung. Local superstition of the stones to date is taken very seriously. It's believed anyone who disturbs the stones would suffer serious misfortune. Therefore, no restorations have been done to the site and excavations haven't occurred, despite archaeologists archaeologists being confident that the center of the circle, a burial mound once stood, perhaps containing those 9 or 17 individuals. Thanks once again for tuning in to Bumblebee. I sure hope you enjoyed. Take some time to like and subscribe to stay up to date with all of our content. I'll see you next time.